Sorry to tell everybody the truth. The man cannot play the game of basketball. He has small hands. He can't catch the ball. He's got bad feet. He can't really move, even though he's mobile. Doesn't really know what he's doing. Doesn't have a post move that he puts to memory that he can do 2 times in a row. He has no game whatsoever. Plays no defense. Doesn't.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome to the latest episode of The Layup.Line. My name is Dolos, and if you're new to this channel, you should definitely consider subscribing for NBA videos like this one. You can also find me on a few social media platforms for inside looks at upcoming videos as well as reactions to live games. If you weren't already aware from my social media, I am a bit of a Lakers fan, and I've really wanted to avoid making this channel too Lakers centric, seeing as I've already dropped a number of videos on the Lakers. There's just a lot going on with my team though, and I kind of wanted to talk about that, specifically Andre Drummond and his fit with the Lakers, and if they should be looking to bring him back. Lakers fans are also pretty divided when it comes to Dre. Some people still believe in the Lakers' ability to maximize Drummond, while others think he's pretty much the sole cause of all of the Lakers' struggles. LA has been 5-9 in the games Drummond has played, which is certainly fueling the fans that think the issues are solely on Drummond here. In this video, I'm going to be diving into Drummond's game tape with the Lakers, combining that with some relevant stats that highlight what you're seeing on film. Andre Drummond has some respectable raw averages, but the advanced numbers are where I'm really concerned. For a guy with an average shot distance of 4 feet, he's shooting 65% from 0 to 3, which is just a bit low. For reference, that is lower than guys like Robin Lopez, Marvin Bagley, and even Jahlil Okafor. That's because Drummond thinks he's a much better post player than he actually is. Most big men who don't have any reliable post moves will be content to just be a rim runner, or they'll be a glass cleaner, but for some reason Drummond thinks he's prime Hakeem Olajuwon and demands to post up. Andre is posting up less than he was in Cleveland, but he's somehow worse at it despite playing on a team with better talent and 3-point spacing around him. In 25 games for Cleveland this season, Drummond had a 26.3 post-up frequency. That number's dropped to 19%, but he still managed to go from the 27th percentile to the 21st as a post-up scorer. This is one area that the Lakers have really been hurt by. The numbers in film show that nearly every time you give Drummond the ball to post up, you're wasting a possession. Drummond's post-ups are clearly hurting the team. The guy's a former All-Star, and so for him, I'm sure he has a level of confidence and pride in his offensive game that no one else really does. But if Frank Vogel is going to allow Drummond to waste possessions like this one, the only acceptable scenario for Drummond to get an ISO post up is if he will run the floor hard off of a make or a miss, get good post positioning, and seal a smaller defender on him under the rim. These scenarios will allow him to make quick decisive attacks at the rim or kick out if any help defenders come by. Sticking with his offense, he has had some issues as the roll man, but at least that's an area that's gotten better since joining the Lakers. Dennis Schroeder is the closest thing that the Lakers have to an elite pull-up shooter. And because LA is in the bottom half of the league in 3-point percentage, defenses will play against that, knowing we really don't want to take jump shots. This is why LA needs Drummond to make better contact on his screens. He's sometimes way too casual with his screens, making it easier for defenders to fight through. The Lakers will need him setting hard screens that take the defender out of the play, and he'll need to follow that up with more efforts on his rim run. There are just way too many possessions of him floating into a roll or making life harder for the ball handler. Offensively, the last thing that I really have to say about Drummond here is his finishing ability. The guy is 6'10", 279 pounds, yet he's still extremely agile for his position. Yet the issue is that he is not a great vertical threat, and his hands absolutely have to be below average size for the position because the guy is frequently losing the ball. To make matters worse, the offensive rebounding that he does provide loses its value when you realize that there are even small guards like Trae Young who are more efficient at scoring off of putbacks this year. A quick recap of his offense. Well, the video and stats show that Drummond is a negative on that side of the floor. He's a bad post player that hurts the team's spacing. He's not aggressive enough in screen and roll, and he doesn't offer any distinct offensive skill. The 23% usage rate is probably still too high, and he can become closer to a positive if he focuses on playing his role as a weak side screener and takes out the post-ups. Now, moving on to the defense, you might be surprised because the film makes a better argument for Drummond as a productive defensive player than you might initially think. The defensive mistakes we've seen make sense for a guy that was added to a team mid-season and is still figuring out the defensive schemes. LeBron and AD, who have returned from injury, are also learning how to play next to him, and those two are still in the process of getting back to game speed. Drummond's problem is that he makes the loudest possible defensive mistakes. He could have a handful of solid defensive possessions where he plays at the level of the screen and makes good rotations that allow his teammates to get back into position, but it's just harder to notice his effort on these kinds of plays. He is a lot more noticeable when he's out of place or late on rotations though. Drummond is a surprisingly usable defensive player, and he can improve with some discipline about when he reaches or just more engagement when he's off ball. I wouldn't consider him a rim protector just because the lack of verticality on that end will always make it hard to recover and meaningfully contest when you get blown past, but the mobility on the perimeter is promising considering that Dwight and JaVale were defensive liabilities defending on the perimeter last season. If we're projecting out towards the playoffs, everyone knows that AD at center is the best offensive lineup that the Lakers will go to, but the addition of Drummond in my eyes was more about hopes of limiting how long AD is needed at the 5, and as an experiment to see if Drummond could possibly defensively impact series against the Suns who have DeAndre Ayton, or the Nuggets who have Jokic, or even in a series against the Clippers because they have some bigs like Ivica Zubac and Serge Ibaka. Right now, the offensive limitations with Drummond will make it hard to justify the minutes he's getting, and while he's generally competitive on defense, in an ideal world he would still be the second or third string big man that you can just kind of bring out on a matchup dependent basis. You'd like him to play his role and understand his limits, but right now he's just being asked to do too much, and of course it isn't working. This isn't a good long-term fit, so I'm not really expecting him to get re-signed, but I would look at this as an audition if I was Andre Drummond. Every GM in the league wants to see if he can be productive and fill in his role. His days of being a max player and all-star are gone, and this next chapter will be about how well does he accept this role on a team moving forward. But that's just my opinion. Leave a like if you learned something new or if you like what I do. Don't forget to subscribe for videos like this, and comment down below if you have any other players that you'd like to see a film breakdown like this for. Thank you for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.